Oh, a local boy just celebrated his 8th birthday, and the only big present he wanted was his name changed on his birth certificate.
That's because he is transgender and says his old name doesn't reflect who he is now. But tonight, only on News 4, his parents say the state of Missouri doesn't see it the same way. Here's investigator Lauren Traeger.
Trans kids are normal kids.
These parents asked to be anonymous, just wanting their son to be a regular kid.
He has tons of friends. He's really engaged. He didn't used to be that way. Yeah, he's very alive.
Trevor, we'll call him, had given them indications over the years.
Anytime that we took him shopping for clothes and let him pick clothes out, it was always from the boys section at the store. He used to, do imaginative play with boy names.
Until one day last year, he told them he was a boy, not a girl.
The next morning, he tried a boy day, and there were no more girl days.
And his name that day?
It has stayed the same from that day.
They've been supportive ever since, and so has everyone else.
He's on a baseball
Sports
team. His
teams.
coaches use his preferred name and pronouns.
But anything requiring a legal name is another story.
Basically anything where insurance is involved and his old name, they can only find him by his old name because that's what is his legal name. I could see how uncomfortable he would get.
So Trevor's parents told him about an option to change his name. At first, he didn't seem interested, but this year, Trevor officially asked his parents for a legal name change, and he did so in typical kid fashion.
One day he said to me, I think for my 8th birthday, I want to change my name. But if we do that, I can still get other presents too, right?
His parents learned of other children changing their names through what's known as a birth certificate correction, an administrative process available to children at the Missouri Bureau of Vital Statistics. But Trevor's name change was rejected.
This affidavit process is for people like my child. There was a mistake on his birth certificate at birth, and we are attempting to correct an error, which is what this process is for. And then they said, well, no, you're attempting to change your child's identity.
When they asked for an explanation,
all of their examples were to same gender names. So they would say, you can use this to correct Jane to June, and you can use this to correct Cindy to Sandy, but you cannot use this to try to make the correction you're trying to make.
Trevor's plans for his birthday put on hold.
He has a suit that he really likes to wear, so he was going to put on his suit, and he wanted walkout music and wanted to walk out the door holding his new birth certificate in a frame.
We were absolutely crushed.
It's heartbreaking as a child because you want your name changed. That's going to be your big present that you want, and some person who doesn't even know you can decide, no, you're not going to have that, and then destroy your whole birthday.
Jordan Braxton is head of diversity, inclusion, and outreach at Pride St. Louis.
Yes, children know they are transgender. I knew for the longest time that I was a girl.
She says she, too, recently tried changing her name through the courts.
When you get married, you just change your name.
She says instead, for trans people in Missouri, a legal name change in court is a difficult and sometimes costly process, requiring hoops like having to publish your name in the newspaper for 3 straight weeks.
It's very arduous, and it can be triggering depending on some people who, first of all, don't like to go to courtrooms, because most of the time when you go to courtroom, it's always for a bad reason.
That's why these parents were hoping instead to use the birth certificate correction that they say is available to other children, but not their own. In fact, News 4 learned it has been done before.
You were able to change your child's name on their birth certificate quite easily.
Yes. They did it in 20 minutes while I sat in the lobby.
4 years ago, Chris Alton used the birth certificate process to change his child's name.
There was generally no challenge in changing from a very, very masculine sounding name to a very feminine name for my child.
He says he has no idea why Trevor is being blocked now, but Trevor's parents say they think it's because it's a different administration and a different attitude.
I think the timing of when we sent in the affidavit and the anti-trans legislation is not a coincidence.
But in a lengthy statement, a spokesperson for the state of Missouri denies there was any discrimination or even gray area in the process, saying they couldn't explain why one name change was allowed but one was not. They say a birth certificate correction is not intended to make legal name changes, saying countless requests are denied for the same reasons. The spokesperson writing, quote, virtually every case that is presented to the Bureau of Vital Records is unique in some way, and while the same state statutes and code of state regulations is utilized, what may appear externally to some as an unequal application or treatment is not the case.
To prevent a kid from having that seems needless.
Still upset for their child, these parents say they feel like the state made an arbitrary and discriminatory decision.
He just wants to live his life and be left alone and be called the name that he has chosen for himself.
Those parents say they will now try to go through the official court process, but it could take a long time. Again, they stressed this is about preserving their son's mental health, allowing him to have a new legal name. We spoke with one lawmaker who says she will be looking into this to see if changes need to be made to the laws so they are applied equally. In the meantime, we've got a lot more information and resources for you about this issue on KMOV.com and the KMOV News app. For News 4 Investigates, I'm Lauren Traeger.